I'm annoyed that I even have to make this video.
Aw, what could possibly be the reason why?
Okay, it's on my phone and everything. I'm not even making the attempts to get my camera out because I'm just annoyed.
Or you could be lazy. You know, it doesn't take that long to set up a mic and camera and make a video, you know. What, 5 minutes? Nothing. Come on, you can't be that annoyed.
Okay. I've also got a cold. This is fun, isn't it?
Yeah, and I've got spots on my forehead. So what?
Okay. So there's this video going around the internet of a girl, the orange coat girl,
Sounds familiar. Do go on.
ripping down some posters of feminism is cancer.
You don't have any comment? Why are you throwing away my posters? Why did you rip them off of the wall and reach beyond my face while I was standing in front of them?
This is why.
Because you're a feminist and therefore cancerous to society?
Yeah, how did you know?
Maybe it's because of your intolerant behavior that's incredibly disrespectful and just caused you to nearly physically assault me.
And firstly, right, is cancer really something you want to compare it to?
Why, yes, let me take you down a trip through memory lane. I'm sure you know what memory lane is, but, let's continue. Anyway, there was the atheist community on YouTube. It's kind of still around. And basically, everything was doing fine. They were all going around debunking Christians, the odd Islamic video, and maybe creationism, maybe some pseudoscience, flat earthers, etc., etc. Loads of different things. Everything was fine. There was infighting, but it was all like drama and stuff. People disagreeing over shit, personal stuff, but it was never political stuff. And if it was, it wasn't to do with atheism. Then came Atheism Plus, P.Z. Myers, Rebecca Watson, all those people. Steve Shives is another one, but he came afterwards, but he was influenced by them. And they infiltrated the entire community in America and to a lesser extent over in Europe, where they began to tell people what they can and cannot do, trying to tell them what atheism is. Basically, their brand of atheism is now atheism in America, and if you disagree, you're a misogynist and you are against everybody's rights, from women's to gay rights to anything really. And it caused a whole lot of infighting because these people were not interested in other opinions. They were only interested in people basically believing the way they want people to believe. They infiltrated the convention circuit and organised all these conventions that used to be pretty free and loose into very strict authoritarian conventions where you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. At one point, you couldn't even sell jewellery because the person didn't like it. And it became so authoritarian and horrible that they had another place called Free Thought Blogs and had Thunderfoot on it, and then kicked him out after a week because they didn't like what he wrote, even though clearly they said to him that he could write whatever he wanted. And this fractured and completely destroyed the community to such an extent that it's now a shadow of what it once was. That these people went in there with one thing and one thing only on their minds, and that was control. And if they couldn't control it, well, nobody could, and they'll destroy it. That's what they did. And fast forward to now, they're trying to do the same thing to humanism, with Humanism Plus, and all these different sub-parts of Humanism Plus. And before even that, Occupy Wall Street was also infiltrated by these people, and what was once an anti-Wall Street, anti-corruption, slightly anti-capitalistic movement that had good grassroots base, and it had a lot of issues that a lot of people, no matter where you are on the spectrum, could actually sympathise with. They tried to turn it into basically this intersectional joke. If you've seen the Stephen Colbert report when they're doing the signs and all that, that was them. That's why we call it a cancer. But of course, it's not just those communities that were affected, but please, continue. I'll save the best till last.
Seriously? Because cancer can mess up lives.
And so is feminism. Have you heard of the 10 years doctrine? Where basically is the courts will automatically side with the mother, no matter how bad she is, unless it's blatantly obvious that she can't mother against the man, rather than make it 50-50 as it should be, weigh the options. This is where the bias in the court system comes from, and this has ruined many of men's lives. Many fathers who want to see their kids cannot see their kids because the mother has told a lie, or she basically got the kids through court and won't simply not let him see him, and she can do that. And he still has to pay his child support, which could ruin him financially, and if he doesn't pay it, he goes to jail. Do you not see how that doesn't ruin lives? And it was feminism that brought that in 100 years ago. And another one which is linked to it is the Duluth model, which basically states that all domestic violence is caused by men. The perpetrators are always men, never women. And this can ruin lives because not all men, obviously, in fact the vast majority, are not domestic abusers, yet a woman will be automatically believed if she says that she was abused. This has allowed women to get basically lenient sentences if they've murdered their partners, basically. Even if there's no evidence at all of domestic violence. I'm not saying that they all do it. I'm not saying that some weren't. But the fact remains is that is ruining lives. That is allowing murderers to get lenient sentences, although they already would anyway, so I don't see why they would have to. But there you go. Feminism ruining lives right there for you. That's exactly what a cancer does, doesn't it?
It depends on whether you're talking about feminism or when people take it too far. But it's still not something you can turn around and say and compare it to something that ends lives.
Men who suffer from domestic violence can die. And feminism has not helped with the social stigma around that and the fact that men cannot get help because they have enshrined in law that only men are the abusers and only women are the victims. Unless you're in a gay relationship, then it's the man is the abuser and the man is the victim. And they completely, just utterly ignore lesbian domestic violence, which is the worst of the lot. And these people are dying. These lesbian women are dying. These straight men are dying. And let's not forget that this also applies to rape. Men are the rapists, women are always the victims. Now, in law, there's been slight changes where penetration with objects, but it still doesn't say forced envelopment. So, technically speaking, women are still the victims and men are still the perpetrators because it still says penetration. And even then, women get away with it, as we've seen with female paedophiles. And these men will try and find help, they will try and find avenues for justice, and most of them won't get it. And this will probably make them very depressed, hypothetically speaking, and most likely kill themselves. Because, as we know, male suicide at the moment is at a record high, and maybe that has something to do with it, because they can't get justice. They think people are laughing at them, because people will laugh at them if they claim they've been raped or abused. They'll tell them to suck it up. They will tell them, no, you had an erection, you clearly asked for it. This is men and women, after all, saying this. And they can't take it and they kill themselves. And plus, let's not forget the domestic abuse sufferers can also be killed because women tend to use objects more than men. Men, being physically stronger, tend to use fists and kicks. Women use objects. I think objects are far more likely to kill someone than a fist. But hey, apparently only men are abusers. So there you go. They are actually ruining lives and indirectly, or directly depending on how you want to take it, killing people, allowing them to die.
Feminism, to have the same rights as men, for equality for both sexes.
The dictionary definition is not going to help you, as that's only one part of the definition. The other part of the definition is advocacy on the grounds of women's equality. Now, please do go on about how they're all for equality, because I can counter that too.
Why? Why are people taking it to the point where they think it's just something horrible in this world when it's not.
Well, there's all the things that I mentioned before, and there's also mainstream feminists, like the National Organization for Women in America, who are the biggest organization, I do believe, who have continuously, for the last 30 to 40 years, basically been fighting shared parenthood, which is basically both parents, unless, obviously, you are abusive or unfit to parent, no matter what gender you are, get 50-50 time with the kids. And they always fight that. And if they're for equality, why are they fighting that? And let's not forget that feminists, until recently, now that women have been allowed to fight on the front lines, didn't give a rat's ass about men getting signed up for the draft to vote, while women didn't have to. They're only now caring about that because women were involved. And let's not forget that in Israel, which is linked to the rape stuff earlier, they campaigned successfully against the government changing the definition of rape to include forced envelopment, which is basically a woman forcing herself upon a man with her vagina rather than using an object. Because that law basically can be used either as a man doing it or a woman doing it. But a woman actually going on top of a man or to rape him, no, apparently not. And they successfully managed to end this law from getting passed and basically cheered in Parliament when it happened. And you know why they said they were against this? Because they thought men, of all people, men would falsely accuse women of rape. Yet, even though that could happen, it most likely will happen, but women do it too. We've seen it all the time. Duke Lacrosse, Jackie, UVA. How does that stop the law from going in when it already happens anyway with women? I don't get it, but do go on.
I'm not even that much of a feminist myself.
Oh really? Then how come you defend it like any other feminist would? If you're not that much of a feminist, why is this irking you? Why are you so annoyed?
And I'm the one sticking up for it here.
Well, it could be either you're a useful idiot, or you're a feminist and you're choosing to lie to us. It could be either of those two. I don't know.
I personally think we should just get rid of the term feminism and just go for equality and think of a name that we can just be like, yes, I'm for equality. I'm not for men being better than women. I'm not for women being better than men. I'm just want us to be equal.
It's called egalitarianism.
People going around putting posters up saying that feminism is cancer or whatever you want to call it will not get us there, and you're basically just being sexist.
Criticising an ideology, calling it cancer, kind of does help things quite a lot because it puts people in a position where they have to think like, feminism is a cancer, is it? Some people will be outraged, go, no it's not! Some people will actually stop and think. It's a catchy little title that catches people's imaginations and maybe might make them want to go to Milo's little event where he will be discussing it and people will hear another opinion. And by the way, how is criticising feminism and calling it names sexism? Feminism is not women. Because you do know that men can also be feminists, but then again, oh wait, no, there's some contention amongst feminists about whether or not they can be. So why am I opening up that kind of worms, eh?
And disgusting. And it's not what you want.
That's your opinion, but it's what we want to do. And it's the truth.
Especially considered you've recorded it.
I'm sorry, but the worst thing there was not the fact that the posters had feminism is cancer. That itself is not a bad thing. That is expressing something. That is allowed in law. Over there in America, and to a lesser extent over here, that is allowed under free speech. You do know that, right? The First Amendment, or our unwritten constitution. That is allowed. What is the issue is the woman taking the posters down. She's not doing it because you're not allowed to put posters up there. They are clearly allowed to do that by law. She's denying their First Amendment rights. That is against the law. That is what is wrong here, not the posters. You've got it ass backwards.
You recorded it of the person you're considering is like cancer.
Well, she is a cancer. One, she's denying that woman's rights to free speech, and the right to Milo to advertise his debate or his talk, because he's allowed to do that. So yeah, that is a pretty cancerous thing to do. That is what they did in the atheist community and the Occupy Wall Street community, and what they've continued to do for the last 40 years.
Not lashing out on you, just being completely calm, picking up your posters, going to put them in the bin because they're not going to litter.
You do know that the person behind the camera literally said that the woman tried to attack her, right? Or at least did a motion that suggested that she was trying to use force to get her way, because it seemed to me that she was trying to interrupt this person putting flyers around. That's the impression that I got. You are being intentionally dishonest here.
And just, put them in the bin. Just be nice, be nice to society, put them in the bin.
She's not being nice. She's trying to intentionally stop people from going to this event, to stop hearing another viewpoint that she doesn't want people to hear, because it makes her movement look bad.
And not having people see that, which, could offend many people.
You know what? You are a feminist because you're a very insufferable, horrible little bitch in this video. But to answer your point anyway, so what if they're offended? That has no bearing at all on the matter here. She's still stopping people from seeing this event, stopping it from being advertised, because she doesn't like that viewpoint. She doesn't want people to hear it. She's doing this for a reason, and it's for the wrong reasons. This is against free speech, okay? Stop trying to defend people like this, okay?
If you have your opinion, you have your opinion. If you want to voice your opinion, you can voice your opinion. Yes, you're all for that.
But clearly, we can't because of some posters, right? Please do explain.
It's a free world. Well, it's a free world in a way, so you can voice what you want to say. But is there any need for what you did?
Yes! It's called free speech, free expression. We can say it's a cancer. There's not a damn thing you can do about it. But is there any need for her to go around and taking down those posters with the express intent of stopping people from seeing this event, in case they might change their opinions on feminism, or have new opinions where there was none, and have more people against them than there already is?
No, I don't even know who you are. And if I'm going to get loads of hate for this, I'm going to get loads of hate for this. But I'm just going to say this. What you did was wrong.
No, it isn't objectively wrong. This is just your subjective opinion, love. I don't think your opinion means that it's right. God, it feels like I'm being talked down on by some horrible, crazy mother telling me what I can and cannot do because of their opinion. Please, just fuck off with that, okay? Just because you think it's wrong, just because you're entitled, and you think that we shouldn't be going around calling an ideology cancer, doesn't make you right at all. Suck it.
What the feminist did was right.
She didn't say anything, she just silently removed it and didn't say a word, while the person behind the camera quite rightly berated her for that.
Equality is what we need.
And feminists are trying to stop that from happening any chance they get, and are succeeding.
And equality is what we should all be fighting for.
I don't see you fighting for it. I see you defending the actions of a hateful supremacy movement.
And never compare something to cancer.
No, you're not my mother, you're not my government, you're nobody, you can't tell us what to do. We will continue to compare anything and everything with cancer. For example, you and your video are cancer. There you go. What you gonna do?
Okay, bye now.
Fuck off.